supply of weapons, munitions, what they need. That includes javelins, that includes Stinger missiles. And yeah, Joe Biden should not have vetoed the MiG-29 fighter jets that Poland begging the Saudis to pump more oil. Saudis aren't particularly happy with Joe Biden right now because he's trying to do this deal brokered by Vladimir in capable hands. Putin, the world, I can see, are laughing at all three so-called leaders of this country. God help us all. But congratulations, no more mean tweets, America. You got what you wanted, as Kamala Harris said this weekend. Like many of you, millions of Americans across the country, they miss a president who was willing to tell the cold, hard truth, would tell it with conviction and strength and fortitude, and have the ability to fight back and fight back hard. Remember when President Trump reprimanded Germany for their dependence on Russian oil and gas back in 2018? He also lectured the head of NATO. Well, at least one world leader's finally, a little late, but finally singing a similar tune. Take a look.
We're protecting Germany, we're protecting France, we're protecting all of these countries. And then numerous of the countries go out and make a pipeline deal with Russia, where they're paying billions of dollars into the coffers of Russia.
It is vital if we're going to stand up to Putin's bullying, if we're going to avoid being blackmailed by Putin in the way that so many Western countries sadly have been, we've got to get ourselves off Russian hydrocarbons.
Countries in NATO, namely Germany, having a large percentage of their energy needs paid, to Russia and taken care of by Russia. Now, if you look at it, Germany is a captive of Russia.
Vladimir Putin over the last years has been like a pusher, feeding an addiction in Western countries to his hydrocarbons, to his oil and gas. We need to get ourselves off that addiction.
Stands firmly with the Ukrainian people in defense of the NATO alliance.
Now, the White House will later stealth edit her transcript to correct the fact that false NATO reference to take it out after those remarks in our humiliating trip abroad. The administration benched Kamala Harris for the foreseeable future. It's been one disaster after another for her. Now President Biden is saying, he will somehow make his way to Europe for the NATO summit next week. Like Kamala Harris, that's a predictable disaster. Joe will be very tired from his long trip. Meanwhile, back here at home, okay, who's the third-ranking elected official? The third in line to be president. That would be 81-year-old Nancy Pelosi, and she now appears to be completely malfunctioning herself. If you think option 1 is bad and option 2 is bad, option 3 may be worse. Watch for yourself. You decide.
They know that we can't go there. Putin is trying to bait the trap so that we go in, and that's could be the beginning of World War III. Putin totally irresponsible, using weapons that are not allowed under the Geneva Convention. Putin, who threatens use of chemical weapons, nuclear, and the rest. So they know that we can't, but it's the ask. Now, he was this morning more. If we can't have a no-fly zone, let us have our own, and we need the airplanes to come in. This morning he was less on the ask for the policy, more on let us do it, help us get the planes. But also there is a school of thought that thinks the anti-aircraft missiles and the rest are a very important way. Myself, when I see that those tanks, that 40 miles of tanks, I'd like to take out those tanks. I mean, I think that them having more planes might be useful, but that I'm not a military strategist. We hope that we will be able to get up to a place. I hope. You asked me how I hope that we can get to a place where the MiGs, which are the kinds of planes they've been trained on, can go to Ukraine. The F-16s, especially if we have an excess of them, can backfill for Poland.
Fortunately, I have zero faith that your government will ever make the right decision in this case. Our top 3 leaders in this country that are elected are completely and totally, utterly out to lunch. You have the disaster that is the weak, frail, cognitively struggling Joe Biden, then the disaster and train wreck that is our Vice President Kamala Harris, We have long documented all of Biden's struggles on this program. We have also documented Kamala Harris's struggles on this program. Perhaps she's even worse. And then over the weekend, Kamala Harris, of course, as everybody knows, told the crowd that Ukraine was a NATO member. Take a look at his orders. He needs to think twice before plotting another invasion. His military's got to be neutered, his bank accounts drained, his ability to wage long-term war limited. NATO and Western European countries, they must immediately and forever end their dependence on Russian energy, making Putin and Russia rich again. And by the way, I'll add, we shouldn't be importing oil from the mullahs in Iran. We shouldn't be begging OPEC, nor should we be begging the murdering thug Maduro in Venezuela. Without getting into World War III, we should never put boots on the ground in this situation. But there are other ways to stand up to Vladimir Putin, and we can do it. We can do it all right now. Before our monologue tonight, we have some very sad news to share with you. Fox News cameraman, his name was Pierre Zakshevsky. He was killed yesterday in Ukraine during an attack that also took the life of a 24-year-old local Ukrainian journalist named Sasha, who was helping Fox News as a consultant in the country. The attack also seriously injured our very own Fox News correspondent Benjamin Hall. Tonight, we're all praying for Benjamin's speedy recovery. We're praying, of course, for the families of Pierre and Sasha and Benjamin as well. Please keep them in your thoughts and prayers with us. Now, because of these brave journalists, no one is safe. According to Russia's ambassador to the UN, this war will not stop until all of Putin's special military operations are achieved. In other words, until all of Ukraine is smoldering and leveled to the ground. That appears at this hour to be the goal. Now, sadly, Ukraine is likely just step one for Vladimir Putin. Who knows what his territorial ambitions hold, but he has them. The only question that we have tonight is, will, in fact, Vladimir Putin, is he capable, of going into the Baltic states? Is he going to go to Moldova or Georgia? Who knows? Would NATO even have the courage to fight back? I cannot confidently give you an answer to that question tonight. This is a critical time for the